We are excited about the elaboration room.
I am excited about this.
Welcome to the Elaboration Room with Reverend Yo and Reverend Harris.
Hello, everyone. Once again, thank you for joining us in the Elaboration Room with two sisters of one. Tonight, we have special guests that we are so excited about. You could tell by the smiles on our faces. We always talk about our husbands in one of our episodes. So tonight, everyone, you get to meet our husbands. Tonight, we are dealing with fatherhood. In this month of June, this is Fatherhood Month. So we decided to bring some fathers to the room so that you can understand what it is to be a father, how it will help you improve your fatherhood or whatever you're going through. We did it with Mother's Day, so now it's Fathers, and we have our fathers in the room with us tonight.
We have our husbands in the room tonight.
The one in the blue t-shirt, that's my husband. They both have on blue. The one in the button-down shirt is T's husband. So tonight, that's what we're going to bring with you. We're going to have a discussion on fatherhood. So Reverend T, what do you have for us tonight?
Well, I'm so happy to have my husband here, and I'm going to let him go first in telling us a little bit about himself.
Well, since my name wasn't said, I'm David Harris, the husband of Theresa Harris. We have four boys. So when I was thinking about these questions, it's hard for me to respond to what it would be like to be a father for girls. So my perspective will be coming from raising boys, raising sons.
All right, thank you. And now we have the husband of Reverend Yo. Go ahead, sir.
Hi, everybody. I'm Reggie Roberts. I guess my perspective will be a little bit different because I have two girls of my own, and I also have two stepchildren with my wife. So, yeah, I can relate to a lot of the questions that are here. So I'm looking forward to answering, the questions that you may have. So that's about it.
So just so y'all know, we pre-prepped them with questions because we didn't want them to be off guard.
But we didn't give them the answers.
We didn't give them the answers. We just gave them questions so they'll be a little bit prepared for our questions so they won't be off guard with anything that we have. So we're going to get this show started tonight with our first question. And Reverend T is going to start with the first question. And it is going to be addressed to both fathers, and both of them will answer.
All right. So we have to understand that women can't do it all. And we just want you guys to address, why do you think it's important that a child has a father in that role as fatherhood, being a dad?
I think I'd go ahead and jump in here on this one. And I'm quite sure Reggie will be able to follow up. I don't understand why it's an issue in the first place. I mean, if you went through all the gymnastics to have a child and you're not willing to be a father, there's something wrong with you in the first place. And I'm just going to be totally honest. Having a child is a blessing, and to be able to see that blessing grow and become in my case, a man, there's nothing like it. And then to see you raise a man, and in our case, have one of our kids become a father is even more of a blessing. And you just hope, now I could just sit back and say, let me see if I taught right. Let me see how he's going to raise his son. What the roles that the way I jumped in and got on his case about things when he was a young man. Let me see if he's going to do some of the same thing. Let me see if he's going to be as disciplinary. Like disciplinarian like I was. I just don't know, but he's been taught well. So I don't understand why it's a big thing to, you know, for a father should be able to step up and take his role as a father in the house.
Thank
Okay.
you.
All right.
So my situation is a slightly different. I grew up most of my childhood without my father. You know, he was one of those persons that was there, but not there. So growing up, especially during my teenage years, it was very difficult for me to really understand what it means to grow to be a man. So over that time, when I started having children of my own, my daughters, I made a choice to not be like that with my daughters. And I understand a lot of the struggles, what it was like to not have my father really around when you need to talk to him about certain things. So when I was reading the question, it made me think about how I believe it was necessary for me to be there for my daughters, even though my first marriage was not, successful. One thing I made sure of was always to be available for my kids. So when they got older, they know they can always count on me when they're in need, and it really enforced it after I gave my life to Christ and understanding how God takes care of his children. And that's the main role model, I think, that really helped me understand what I need to do as a father to take care of my children. Now, I'm not going to say I'm perfect, did everything the right way, but I know one thing for sure. If they need me, they always know and understand how to contact me. So I think that's probably the main reason I think a man should be a role model, a role father model, because we are there to provide for them and help them in a different way that a woman may not be able to do. So
Yeah,
that's my little perspective on it.
And building on what you just said, it makes me think back to how blessed I was to have my father in the house. And really how blessed I was because my father had me at an older age. He was 45 years old when I was born. And you start to think about the time you had with him and what he was able to teach at that stage of his life. See, when he has went through some things and developed his personality and become more and more, mature as a man at 45, I'm learning from someone who's really, really know what not to, how to raise a kid and what to say to his son. And it's different for some of my, I'm the youngest, and it's different for some of my older siblings who had him at a different age. So I got the best out of him because he had me at a different time of his life. And my parents being very, very religious people and going to church every Sunday. I mean, I was in church every Sunday, and although you grow up and you go and you do your thing as you grow up, and you may pull yourself out of church a little bit, but you know what the base is. You know what worked. And it's always instilled inside of you to go back to where you came from. And even though we grow up and make mistakes and go through things and have children and raise our children, there's a time where our children are not going to be there. And you always have your basis to go back to straighten yourself out when in need. So I was blessed in that to have my father there to set the right example for me. He was tough now. He was tough. There was no joke right there, but it was great to have him there.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Ooh,
All right,
good
Reverend Yo, you
answers.
want
Good
to give them the
answers.
next question? That was
So,
wonderful, guys.
yes. So the next question is, what is the most difficult thing of being a father? And we'll start with Reggie on this
Man. Where you want to start with that question?
one. Just start.
I think the most difficult part of being a father for me, especially raising girls, was being able to teach them on the difficulties of life and helping them understand about making the right choices. Because when they became teenagers and their bodies started changing and everything else, I had to have the hard talk with them about young boys and how they would act to them, and even had the hard talk about sex about them to them. And that was probably one of the most difficult things raising girls, because one of the problems that we have, not only in our country but throughout the world, is teenage pregnancy and things like that. And it's only because many of them just made the wrong choice. So that's probably not only one of the hardest, but the biggest fear is having one of my daughters to become a mother before the right time in their lives. And the second thing is just letting them go and grow up. I think that's probably the second most hardest thing, because being a dad with girls is kind of, you got that special bond with them. Even though they both have different personalities, you still have that special bond with them. And seeing them become young ladies and young women and having their own boyfriends and fiancés or whatever now, it was hard, and it was hard for them too. And my wife can tell you about it. When my daughter was become of age and going to college and moving out and everything else, she never told me about her boyfriend on there. So I had to find out through a different source. Oh, she has a boyfriend she's moving out with. So, but anyway, I think that was, for me, was the two most difficult parts of being a father. Teaching them, to be respectful and of themselves, and letting them go, letting them grow up, and become young ladies and young women in their lives. So
We have a couple of similar items there, especially with the talk about sex. Having boys, you have to make sure that they understand when the young lady says no, it really meant no. And to be respectful of what she has said to you. So being around the house, you have to make sure you're setting an example for them, even with your wife, that is going to be carried to the street with them later on. How you treat your wife is what your kids are going to do when they have a relationship later on.
mm-hmm.
They see you hug your wife, and they see that how much you love your wife, that's where they're going to fall. That's where they're going to fall to. They're going to go back to what they know. But my biggest thing about the sex talk wasn't having the talk, is when do I start the talk? At what age do I start with boys? Because I've always told myself, I got to get to my boys before somebody else get to them.
Yep, that's right.
Okay. And the somebody else could be a girl.
It's true.
It could be a girl. And then if she gets 21st, there's no matter what I say, there's nothing that can be done at that point. It's over.
Yeah.
Okay? So I started to talk to them, some would say pretty early. I'm talking about they weren't double digits yet as far as age is concerned. Okay.
I agree.
So,
I did the same thing.
yeah. So here I am with maybe with a 9-year-old and a 6-year-old, and the 6-year-old just sitting back there, and he said, "I guess I might as well listen to it too, because might as well get them both out the way at the same time." And they would tell you, "Yeah, Dad, that was too early," but it worked. Let me put it, so far, it's been good. So the sex talk was one. The second thing is with boys is their gear, their clothing, and how they would like to wear their clothing. Now, I put them in Catholic school for a reason, so they have a uniform, first of all. So I didn't have to worry about anything falling off of their butts as they were going to school. But I wanted to make sure that they understood the image that they were putting out there. And that image that they set out there is not only saying who they are, but that also tells other people in the street who your parents are. And I had to explain that to them to the point to where I restricted certain wear. Like my youngest liked to wear baseball caps, and he always wanted the black cap. And I said, no, I just don't like the way that look at your age right now. He's 12 years old, 13 years old. Well, stop restricting that. So it was what the clothes that they can wear and what people can think they are, and when they're really not. And finally, having boys and dealing with the police. They always talk about, we always have that conversation, but with our boys about police, I had that conversation as soon as they start to drive. It was one of the first conversations I had. And, tell them where to put their license, where they have to keep their wallet, where do they have their insurance and registration, where to put their hands, and let your window down before they come to you. Don't let them come up to your window. So they can see your hands as they're approaching you, they can see your hands on the steering wheel. Besides that, with boys, it was, it's difficult raising kids in this environment right now today than even more than it was when we was raising ours, because there's a lot of things that have changed out there.
Definitely. Social media is one.
That's another one.
Yeah.
All right, Reverend T, last question.
Okay, so what is the most important lesson you feel as a father, that needs to be taught today?
That needs to be taught today?
Today, as you said, we are in a different time.
They both thinking.
I would say that needs to be taught today, that the decision that you make at 12, 13 years old can ruin you for the rest of your life. You decide to do something that you shouldn't do, be it steal, rob, hurt, beat someone, be disrespectful to a woman. Anything that you do right now could ruin you for the rest of your life, because that record could be a potential police record that will follow you for the rest of your life. And you can grow up to become a great man at 30, but when they go back and look at your file, if they have something out there, and being a young black man, it can be held against you. And you may not be allowed to have a second chance. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess for me, in today's environment, I would say know who you are in God's eyes. And what I mean by that is that in the world today, if you notice how society has changed over the years, there's a lot of new, what they call it, genders, I guess,
Yeah.
that people claim themselves to be. You got the, the woman who claims that they're a man, and man claims they're a woman, and we got the metros and all kinds of stuff. There's so many of them out there now. I don't even know what's what. But when I, accepted Christ, that's one of the things that that I always share with my daughters is don't let society try to brainwash you into thinking that what others is doing is okay. Know who you are. You are a beautiful woman. You're a beautiful woman made by, God, and you should know who you are. And I know that could be a little bit controversial to talk to them, like a non-believer or anything like that, because they'll tell you something totally different. But I try my best to make sure that they have that core value, and also to be respected as a woman. Don't let anyone, especially a man, put a hands on you and treat you and talk to you, like you're a piece of property or anything like that. Don't allow yourself to get, into that type of environment, because even today, abuse is still, rampant,
Yeah.
And unfortunately, I, grew up in that kind of environment at that time when I was much younger and stuff. And that's one of the things I despise, especially a man, taking advantage of a woman, not only physically, but also emotionally and mentally. So today, I think a lot of that that's been happening is still relevant. I mean, we had evolved and changed in society, and some good things and some not so good. But the core of being able to know who you are, I think, is important to teach our kids today, because when they're young and they're seeing all these different things going on in their lives, it can be confusing to them. They may think they're a giraffe one day, and I'm not exaggerating, but it's just it's just the way the society is right now. It's like, it's like, wow, where are we going, as a society? So, but I know who I am, and I try my best to, teach that to my girls and stuff. So
Yeah, and if you go back every 10 years, you step back, you would never thought we would be where we are today.
That part, yeah.
So it comes so fast. It comes to hit you out of nowhere. And you imagine, if you have a daughter that's 25, 35, and what did they see when they were 15 years old? They're looking like, wait a minute, this is not what I saw growing up. At least when we had a chance, we could go back 15, 20 years and say, oh, it's pretty much the same. Then we got lucky, we got Obama in the presidency. Then after Obama, everything just really changed. So it's interesting how life has really could throw you some curveballs at any time, and it just comes out of nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
Whew. More than I thought we were going to get tonight.
Oh, really?
Really?
I thought you two were going to be kind of shy. So
I
good.
thought so too.
I am so glad.
Really
Yeah,
good job, guys. I would like to ask one more question that they did not get. You both are involved in blended families.
Okay.
What is the most difficult part of it, and what is the best part of it?
She threw that one in, y'all.
I said
I
that.
see. Well, I could start off, you know, mine. I guess the hardest part is the children. And being new, a new person in their lives, especially the beginning of a relationship. One of the things is say, okay, will the children accept me being a part of their mother's life? You know, because for some it's not very accepting, you know. So that was probably the most. There's a couple others, but the most thing that comes to my mind is winning the hearts of the children. And the other thing that I was thinking about as far as what's the best part of it is being able to get over that and win their respect and eventually, you know, their love and everything else. I think that's the most beautiful accomplishment to being part of a blended family, because it doesn't always work for everyone. But I've been fortunate, you know, to be able to meet a woman and their children's be able to be a part of their lives, I should say, and to this very day. So I'm very appreciative of that.
It's the same for me. It's most definitely the children. And having boys. Boys and their mama. There's a bond there that you shall not touch or jump into. You shall just let it go and let it come naturally.
You shall not interfere.
Not interfere. Thank you. So you tend to sit back and let it happen a little bit. And again, your children the kids are still watching you and see the relationship that you have with their mom. Now, in two cases, the mom of the past with your ex-wife, how you still have a relationship with her, and the new wife and the relationship with her. And everybody is watching to see how that dynamics is working.
Yep.
And sometimes it becomes very difficult, and when you have different gatherings, marriages, weddings, wherever it may be,
babies.
Huh?
I said, and grandbabies.
Grandbabies, but thank God. God, he handled that. I mean, he took care of that. He said, I got this covered. Don't you worry about it. Because Theresa knows I was concerned about it from day one, but it was handled and everything has worked out. But sometimes the kids, I'm always trying to get them. I wish there were some girls involved in that a little bit. I think there would be a lot more communication and collaboration between the kids if there were some girls involved. But when you got boys, when they see each other, hey, what's up, man? How you doing? Oh, everything's good. But when they leave each other, they leave each other. Hold on, they go their ways. So, but for the most part, it's good. And the kids are the hardest part. I mean, they're the ones who's most affected by it all.
Yeah.
Well, for us, because you guys have 4 boys, we have 3 girls and 1 boy. I have a boy and a girl. So my girl is the oldest girl, and she is a big sister that represents. And then my son is the only boy. So they say he's my favorite. It has nothing to do with that. He's just the only boy. So we have 3 girls and 1 boy on our end.
He's your favorite.
He's my favorite boy.
He's the only one,
man.
So he's your favorite.
He's my favorite man, because our kids range from 34, 31, 29, getting ready to turn 30, and just turning 27. And then we have one granddaughter, which Reggie's oldest became a mother in August of last year. So we have one.
Congratulations.
We have one granddaughter so
Thanks,
far.
thank you.
Yeah.
So far, but we're waiting for more. I'm waiting for more.
Still waiting for that grandson. So
Yeah,
I tried 2 times and didn't make it. So
well, I'll let Mrs. Harris tell you what we have. And
You go ahead.
Let me see. I think we have a 30. I
We'll
want to say
be
33. We'll be 33. So a 33 will be 32. A third one that would be 32. And a fourth one who's 29.
all right.
So we got grown kids,
and
y'all.
one grandson who's 3 months.
Look at that face.
One grandson, 3 months.
Yes.
So, gentlemen, we thank you for joining us tonight in the elaboration room with two sisters of one. We thank you for participating. We thank you for your questions. We promised we wouldn't keep you long, so we're going to stick to what we said. So, Reverend T, you have something before I close us out.
Yes, we thank you, gentlemen, as we celebrate fathers. Sometimes fathers get the short end of the stick, and we did a nice Mother's Day episode. We had to do something for fathers. So we thank you for saying yes and participating. And as always, we are not doctors. We are not giving you medical advice about anything, but we are just offering you something else to consider.
And before I do our final closeout, is there anything that you gentlemen want to say before I close us out? No?
Well, for me, just thank you for inviting us. I was hesitant at first.
So was he.
I was hesitant at first. Then I thought about it a couple of days, and then I just said, I'll go ahead and do it.
Great. Thank you.
Yeah, I feel the same way. Thanks for the invite. I think we had a really good discussion. That could actually have gone a little bit longer, but
it could have.
Yeah, it could have really.
It could have. And when you start talking about stuff like this, you can just sit up here and talk, and you get to record. You keep recording for hours, and next thing you know, you try to figure out how to cut the tape.
Yeah.
Well, we promised we wouldn't keep y'all long, so I'm telling you, in the beginning, I thought both of you were going to be shy and we were going to have to pull stuff
That's
out.
right. I thought so too.
Because
I was shocked and amazed.
Yeah, I was kind of hesitant.
It was a good vibe here.
Yeah.
Well, I'm so glad that you guys felt comfortable. Yes. Maybe you'll come back on another topic.
Yes.
Maybe.
So we'll give you the opportunity, like we give all of our guests. If there's something that you would like for us to discuss in the elaboration room with two sisters of one, just drop it down in our chat.
They don't have to put it in our chat. They can just tell us.
Yeah, but they're gonna have to think about it. So y'all can drop it down in the chat. I'm talking to the viewers too, but of course they live in a house with us, so they could just tell us. But if there's something that you would like for us to talk about, please drop it down in the chat below, and we will definitely consider talking about that discussion. So once again, we thank all of you for joining us tonight in the elaboration room with two sisters of one. And as we do every week, we tell you to be brave, be strong, and be different. Asking, it will be given unto you. Seek, and ye shall find. Knock, and the door shall be opened unto you. Believe in yourself and encourage yourself. But in all things, remember, seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things shall be added unto you. Until we meet again next week in the elaboration room with two sisters of one, we pray you have a blessed evening. Good night.
Bye-bye.
The Elaboration Room with two sisters of one. Make sure you like and subscribe, and stay tuned for the next episode every Monday at 6 p.m.